What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to A Certain Point of View here on a fine Sunday evening. And yes, I got the overlay correct this time. We are here. We are ready to talk some Schmodown after quite a crazy week. The most crazy week we've had so far. 7 whopping matches, 5 breakdowns, 1 giant pay-per-view, and we are here to discuss it all. And so we got the regular POV crew here. We got Brian, Jill, and Molly. How is everyone doing on this fine Sunday evening?
Doing good. Had a pretty lazy day. We drove out to a Lego store to purchase. I sent you guys a picture of it, but it's so cool. It's the Lego version of the original NES with like a little TV set. Alex has been talking about it for weeks. So
it's so cool.
We ventured out into the world and wore our masks.
Successful Sunday. That is a successful Sunday.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Not to mention you've been watching every Twilight movie.
I'm going to do that this week too. That's my goal for my 4-day weekend. I'm going to rewatch Twilight. That's my plan.
It's been great.
Brian, how you doing?
Good. I'm exhausted. Haven't really stopped podcasting. Yesterday did DC fandom the whole entire day.
Right.
Friday was, we didn't podcast, but we watched. Oh, yes, we did. My other show did the podcast, watched the match. So it's a 7-day week for me. Just keeping on a rolling.
I have a lot of Apocalypse videos in my feed right now after the DC fandom business. I was like, what is happening?
That was a wild day.
I mean, we were successful with it, so it worked. It worked. It was fun. I was only on 2 of them, but it was fun. Jill, you're doing good on this Sunday? Doing good?
It's a Sunday.
Yeah. All right. Fair enough.
I caught my voice after being speechless over that pay-per-view match. So we're good. We're here.
Seriously. Okay. Well, we are here to talk quite a bit in the world of Schmodown, obviously. And as we said on our Twitter today and Facebook group, everything, we are joined by Mr. Frank Janisch, Frankie Numbers, as he is called in much of the world. And we're going to go ahead and bring him in real quick. How you doing, Frank? What's going on, man?
I'm doing pretty good. My internet broke up just a little bit as you were saying something, so I hope it was all good. I'm assuming it was all good, but I'm glad to be here with you guys and talk some shop, talk some Schmodown. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. I know you're one of the people we've been wanting on the show for a while. Just never really. It's the perfect time with the Schmodown event that happened on Friday. 5 matches from the singles tournament happened this week. Plenty of Schmodown to talk with you, and so. With that said, I mean, we can get right into it, guys, because we have a lot to discuss, obviously. We have all these matches that happened, right? The first one that happened was Lon Harris and Sabina earlier this week, and we did reactions to all of these. You can see them up on the channel, but we never really get into kind of any depth conversation about them. And so let's talk about Lon Harris and Sabrina here. Obviously, Lon walking away with a number of points for swag and doing what we expect Lon to do in this situation. He's been crushing it with Final Exam. And he comes in first time as a singles player in quite a while and does very, very well. But nothing against Sabina. She just got a category that did not fit her well. And
seems to be a theme for this week.
Yeah, exactly. And she struggled through it. But Jill, thoughts on this this first match of the week on Monday?
Yeah, Lon proven that he still has his singles competitor chops. Was a rough ring rest from Sabina. But Lon, man, he's one to watch. He's
Brian?
one to watch.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while for Sabina to play. So, I mean, that could play a factor. I don't know. But, I mean, Lon's had all that time to study for teams. And teams coincides with singles in studying sense in a way. So, I mean, that he was a train that was just kept chugging on. So, I mean, anyone in his path probably could have done the same thing. So,
Molly.
Yeah, I think Lon pretty much performed how everyone thought he was going to do. It was a great match to watch, and we talked about this during the breakdown, but I was just happy to see Sabina, be fine with the loss. She was like, it is what it is. I'm a busy lady. Like, she writes, she produces. And she was like, "Yeah, I'll be back." I just like it when people have fun with losing.
We like when people have fun competing. Dang it! We like it when people just enjoy competing.
Yeah.
She's always been fun to have in the league. Frank, thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I was excited to see Sabina back in action here against, unfortunately against Lon, but when you're debuting in the singles division, it's going to be up against one of the tougher players, more established players. And I love seeing Sabina compete, and whether it's free for all or it was with teams. I just like the attitude she brings to the Schmodown. It's not quite as serious as we see with other players in the league. And then with Lon, I'm just really curious on what kind of run he can go on. You saw what he's been doing with Final Exam, and unfortunately that run for now came to an end. But I was curious to see how this might translate with singles. And he's one of the better players in terms of knowledge. It's just sometimes it hasn't always gone his way. So even still going up against someone like Sabina, who's fairly inexperienced with, especially playing singles, anything could have happened here. But obviously, I think knowledge trumped all here with this match.
Yeah, he's definitely a scary player to look out for, especially with the character change and Winston in this corner. It seems like it's just fitting him correctly. I can't remember off the top of my head, but who he has next? Has that match been aired yet?
I don't think.
Lon?
No, not the two competitors that he could possibly go up against. Because I don't have the schedule on here.
Lon has it's either Merle or Roca or Adam Collins. Got it.
Which we talked about that. We talked about the possibility of Roca and Lon, which would be crazy. But Adam Collins is not a slouch to look over. So I'll just say that as well. Okay, so the next match that we had, which was on Tuesday, was definitely one of the better matches this week. A very fun match, and to many, a little bit of a surprising outcome, and that was Paul Preston and Eric Zipper.
That's right.
Eric Zipper, look, ever since he's entered the league, he has slowly progressed as a player, right? And, he's doing the IG thing, and he's been killing it with Kaiser, and, having Smets and Parker in his corner obviously have helped a little bit. And he proved it this match. He just flat out proved it this match. He knew what he was doing. He played well. He had the knowledge. Everything. It's not that everything went his way. He played the Schmodown game that I think he's expecting himself to play for a very long time. And he beat someone who a lot of people thought could end up, kind of running through the tournament a little bit in Paul Preston. Frank, I'll go right back to you on this one, man. Paul Preston, Eric Zipper, thoughts on this one?
I was impressed, slightly surprised by Zipper. I was more surprised by the outcome rather than how Zipper played. I think when you really look at that match, you look at the second round for Paul Preston, getting comic book movies. Those were, in my opinion, some pretty deep cut questions that probably belong in Inner Geekdom more so than singles. That's just my opinion. I'm no expert at Inner Geekdom, so I'll defer to the experts on that one. But that's from where I'm sitting. Those were some pretty brutal questions that I don't even know if Zip could have answered them straight off with multiple choice. I don't know one way or the other. I never really asked or have heard either way. So, like a lot of people, I had Paul Preston going pretty deep, but Zip, he had other plans, other ideas, and I love Zipper's story in the Schmodown from when he first entered with Winston to where he's gone with Kaiser last year and now this year. You can't help but root for the guy. You really can't. And as much as I love Paul Preston in the league, I love Eric Zipper equally as much, and so it was. I was going to be fine with either outcome. I was preparing for one, but I was pleasantly surprised for another one, if not only for, I think, a more relatable story for a lot more people, because not everyone who enters the Schmodown is playing lights out. But Paul Preston came in, was from the jump, played pretty impressively. Zipper, you saw his gradual rise, and it really came to fruition here against Paul Preston. It just, everything lined up for him, and he's put in the hard work, and it paid off for him against Paul Preston.
Yeah, I like seeing Zipper successful. He's like the guy that just deserves it. right?
Yeah.
He's so passionate about it all. Jill, thoughts on this one? Because I know that this was something that you absolutely love to see, but also hate at the same time.
It's a little bummer for me being pseudo den that we got a player kicked out of the tournament. But similar to what Frank had said, whoever won this match, I was happy with. Like I would have been stoked for whoever won this match, and I was stoked for Eric because I feel like Eric is one of those players where he just gets better after every match he has. Like he just continually keeps growing, and I think he was just as stunned as anybody that he TKO'd Paul Preston. I think he himself was just as surprised about that. So to see him, he needed that confidence booster, and I'm kind of disappointed it happened against my pseudo faction, but I'm happy he did get that confidence booster. Dungeon also really needed the points, so I'm not mad about that either. So I'm excited to see what Eric does now that he has this little push of confidence here. So let's see if he can break some more of those second round brackets.
Molly?
I agree, Frank, about the comic book questions. I thought they were there are some deep stuff in there, and I don't remember, did he get any steals from those?
He might have gotten one or two.
He got one a 1 point steal.
At 1 point.
Yeah.
That was my first thought. Like when he got comic book movies, I was like, oh, Zip's gonna get a bunch of steals. So he got one. That was nice. But I'm always impressed with anyone who can play an IG and singles/teams. Like anyone who can study for IG and then also just know normal movie trivia, always going to impress me. And when he won, he just like looked so elated. And I was really happy for him.
Brian.
I picked Zipper for this one. So
is it wrong? Is it wrong to call you a Zipper fanboy, or is that right?
No, I love Zipper. He's hilarious.
Okay.
Definitely a Zipper
Zip boy.
Zip boy. There you go. Yeah, hashtag Zip boy.
Brian the Zip Boy Avalosino.
Yeah, sure. Whatever you want to call it. I mean, it was hard because I had picked the Den to win the year at the beginning. But Zipper was primed for a win. The poor man has been like so close. Oh, I think my AirPods just literally died.
Oh, no.
So we're doing that now. He's come so close to winning, like so many times. So it was a matter of like when, not if, I felt like. And so, it just happened to be in the form of this match. I did not ever in my wildest dream expect a TKO. Not like if you would have said that, I would have been like, okay, like let's not go too far. But seeing him win, I'm not surprised by it. Has been a while since Paul played as well. But Paul's one of those players that like I feel like he could be off for a while and still come back just as good. So I don't know if that's really even a good enough reason to say it. But yeah, no, I'm not surprised Zipper won in this at all.
Brian Nussbaum here has a question for us, which is a great question here. What did you guys think of the challenge by Zipper in round one? I thought it was a brilliant challenge. He challenged timing of Preston not getting it down in time and still writing after the time.
Yes, I think
I don't think that was a challenge by Zipper though. I think that was a challenge by Kaiser.
Well,
yeah,
Adam,
I felt more Kaiser based for sure. Yeah. Although
because they asked Zipper and he was like, "It's fine," and then Kaiser was like, "No,
yeah.
We're challenging."
Well, I mean, Zipper did say, "Go blast out," going, "Come on, he's still writing." Mm-hmm. So I mean, by him saying that probably triggered Kaiser to be like, "Okay, wait, he was still writing." So
have we ever seen something like that happen?
Not that I can recall. Frank would know.
I don't remember that actually ever happening.
No, I don't think flat out like that.
It's usually when it's happened like that, the person usually has had the wrong answer anyways.
Yeah.
or they just didn't, or they were writing down an incomplete answer and they just never finished it. So I don't quite remember a specific example of that. But I will say it is interesting that it had to be challenged. And I will leave it at that. I don't want to.
And we'll stop there.
Well,
Continue, Frank. Please continue your thought.
It's one of those things about these digital matches now. I feel like stuff in studio, something like this would have, been.
Well, the audience would have been like, "He's still writing." Like we would let's be real. The audience would have said something. Like someone in the back would have been like, "Hey," but. It's hard to, especially like on the screen, it's really hard to focus on multiple people. You're really just focusing on one person. While in the studio, you kind of get like this like peripheral vision thing.
Mm-hmm. I also think that this will be something that people will probably keep an eye on from now on. Like that timer is going to be down to the last second. And they're going to be like,
"You're still writing."
Yeah, still writing.
There's been other first round, I guess you could say, inconsistencies where players will reveal. It's happened plenty of times already this year where players will reveal their answer, but they won't actually say what they wrote down. They'll throw in some quip in there. And part of the rules is write down what's on your board. And it hasn't been challenged yet, and it hasn't been called out in terms of trying to deduct a point from somebody. So this could start as we get deeper into the tournament here, not only singles but and teams. You better believe, I think managers are going to have a stern eye on their opponents and see if they can catch up on these small little gaffes by other players.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, plus someone with poor Zipper's pass by losing by like a point, or by someone screaming out a random answer that you end up losing by. I mean, to me, that's smart on his part, because if it ended up costing him 1 point at the end and they didn't challenge that or something, he could have lost by it. I mean, obviously the result was not needed, but I mean, it's smart gameplay on Kaiser and his part.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to the final play-in match that happened this week. And this was due to the outcome of last week's pay-per-view match. And so we had Sabrina Ramirez versus Vinnie Mancuso, with a sub-manager of Adam Kaiser stepping in for Kaiser himself, which was just absolutely brilliant. But obviously the hype coming around Sabrina being the highly touted free agent a couple months ago, stepping into her first official match. And, Vinnie taking the W on this one. Sabrina just kind of struggled out the gate, but ended up coming back in the later rounds and making it a fight. Dungeon, again, needing the points, walking away with the points in this one. Molly, I'll go to you first on this one. Sabrina and Vinnie, thoughts?
I mean, anyone's first match, I think there's going to be some nerves. And I think you could definitely tell that in her first round, but the way that she bounced back was really impressive to me. And I know there's been stuff like all over the social media about her getting a bunch of hate, and it's a bunch of crap.
Yeah.
Swear. Use the dark side.
You can cuss like Alex's Twitch. You can fully cuss like Alex.
Scream into the void.
Yeah. I mean, I think she did fine, and I think she knows that she can do better, and she'll come back, and I'm sure she'll do better next time.
Jill?
I honestly think had she gotten her 5, she would have had the same comeback chatter that James White had.
Yeah,
she was on that same comeback path that James White was. She just had a really difficult 5-pointer, but her round 1 was rough. Anyone can agree, but she freaking killed it in round 2. She got her 2 and her 3, which a lot of people can't do. And then she just had a really tough 5. Had she gotten that 5-pointer, I don't think people would she would have been for me. She would have been the same conversation as James White, with being that epic comeback of not so great of a first round, but you're freaking killing it. So if anything, to me, this match proved that she has that knowledge. it was her first match. Like, everyone has a first match. She got those first match jitters out. She will be back, and she is going to kick ass when she comes back. I know it. For Vinnie, I am stoked he got that W too, because I do love Vinnie and I love watching him compete. So kudos to him on that win. He was cool, calm, and collected, and it
The ice pick
for him. The ice pick.
Such a great name.
It is such a great name.
And he's running straight into a possible freight train with Ethan Irwin next. So we'll see how that turns out. Frank, thoughts on the final play-in match?
This is going to be an interesting one for sure. And going into it, I had listened to how people had talked about Vinnie, and I listened to how people talked about Sabrina, and I think, to be honest, I think I kind of got what I thought might happen to an extent. Looking at Sabrina's first round, 3 points, you can't. That unfortunately, on a negative side, that speaks for itself. I do think that nerves definitely play a part in something like this. She came into this match with pressure that she never asked for from fans, and it's something that she never sought out in that type of way. She just happened to be a personality that entered this year that people really were enamored with and gravitated towards, and thus there's a big following and attention on that. So whatever you do within our space, it's going to draw more eyes, more criticism, some constructive and some, not that. And for her to go into this match knowing that if she doesn't perform well, let alone she could have got a win and they both could have played crappy, and I think she still would have gotten, what came out of this. So knowing that you have to go in there and play to almost an unrealistic expectation.
To Dan Murrell expectations.
Right. Which is unrealistic, because there's the Schmodown, first and foremost, is very random at various points in the match. A lot of the match is it's very random. So 3 points, not great. I do chalk it up, like I said, to experience and, just your first time out in a big spot. When I look at her second round, I see like the mental fortitude there, which you do need to have in this game, because everyone who's coming for Sabrina is coming at it from a trivia knowledge standpoint. They're not coming at it from a game aspect. And there's a huge game aspect that I don't think a lot of these, what I would call trivia purists, take into account. They just look at answers and questions, and what did you do there? It's not taking into account the atmosphere, the pressure, the hype. It's not taking into account, strategy, multiple choice here or not, things of that nature. They just look at it from a trivia standpoint. And there's much more to juggle, and some fans, the ones that are quote unquote fans, don't recognize it. They don't, and so then you mix that with just their probably inherent sexism on top of that, and you get quite a disaster. So I really sympathize with Sabrina and any woman who competes in this league. There's obviously a much more specific conversation to have on all of that. But pertaining to the match, I thought she bounced back really well and showed that the one aspect that not a lot of players have is that you're going to have these hurdles and overcome. And I felt like we saw a glimpse of that, because once the knowledge and things line up for her, I think you can see a very solid player out of Sabrina Ramirez, because I also like to believe this is also very motivating in a lot of ways.
Yes.
Her match really reminded me of my first match at Celebration. Like, going into it, really nervous. It was live, and people were expecting me to be Alex Damon level of knowledge. And I was just like, that's not what's happening here for my very first match. Now, going forward is a different story.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, no, I'm really excited to see her in the future. And I know we won't see her for the rest of the year, which is a bummer. But like Frank said, I think we've talked about it a million times. A loss for some competitors is just like that fire that they need, and they instantly come back from it, and they're even better than beforehand. So it's definitely going to be fun to see her compete next year. I'm excited for that. But let's go ahead and Brian, do you talk about this one?
No.
No.
Go ahead. I remembered. Don't worry.
For once. Yeah, no. I mean, Frank said it all for the most part. I feel like there were people, unless her game was perfect, literally perfect, no missed questions, nothing, they would have came after her. I mean, she had everything stacked against her from the beginning. She had the fact that she is on the Finstock Exchange. She has all these champions in her corner. She got touted as she's so good, blah, 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 yet we've never even seen her play. And it's just, I mean, it's just, she had so much put against her before she even got to play. And so it's not fair for her to come in feeling that people are expecting this greatness out of her, and she hasn't even played a damn match yet. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, okay, she lost. Get over it. It is what it was. It was a play-in match because she was a rookie, never played before. So, I mean, she did clearly not have her footing in the first round, okay? But she grasped very hard from the first round after that first round. So, I mean, had she not had those jitters in the first round, who knows what it would have ended. Mm-hmm. So it's one freaking match. We've got to stop, men and the women. We've got to stop freaking out when someone comes in that people are excited for, and just if they lose, automatically go, oh, they're trash. They were overhyped. Blah 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 blah.
We're allowed to hype people. Damn it! Yeah. We are allowed to hype people up.
We're hyping that. You should be hyping them up because you're excited to see them play, yes. Not because you're expecting them to win the whole tournament right off the gate.
Yes.
So be excited that you're getting to see them play more than if they win or lose. Mm-hmm. Just be excited that they're even playing. She's been wanting to play. She finally got to play. And you know what? People kind of probably tainted that for her a little bit. And now she's going to always remember that. So that's unfair. Let her be excited about playing. Let her play. Because you know what? Losing probably is going to, in all this crap, is only going to make her more dangerous the next time she plays around. So who knows? But yeah, just let the players play. Damn it. It's that simple.
Let the
also,
players play.
On top of everything, like, being called the queen of the exchange and stuff like that, she also came in the year of the rookies, where the rookies have like really been, crushing it right now. And it's not fair to hold every single rookie to that standard, right? I mean, the Ben Goddards and the Barbarians and the Parkers, and it's not fair to hold every single rookie that enters the league to that kind of standard, because that's just not what's going to happen. And so
the queen
everything
nickname,
is said.
The queen nickname, was that something that she picked, or did that just
I think
happen
that's what
naturally?
I'm pretty sure that's what Finstock show.
Yeah, I think they gave her that one.
See, yeah, and like giving a name like that to someone who's never played, and that's basically saying like she's the best in this faction. And that was.
Yeah, I really didn't. I didn't care for that either. I thought, okay, that's premature. She hasn't played a match, but it's great that they hold her in such high regard, mm-hmm. but she's also she hasn't done anything in the league. So that's while I think maybe as your own person, you hear that, you may not pay attention to it, but you do hear it, and sometimes it can seep in there, and maybe it does mess with you. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I don't know. But if I was the exchange, I probably would not slap on any other monikers besides, your standard league nickname. So.
Yeah, her nickname is Spicy. I'm seeing in the comments. It is Spicy.
Is Spicy. Yeah, it's just Gucci just called her the queen.
Right.
Yeah.
To mention that did kind of rub me the wrong way. Calling her the queen, because
queen.
It's also ripping off the corruption, so it's like the original.
Yeah,
the original.
Yeah, there's already a queen.
There's only one queen in this league, and not to mention, they already had Finstock Exchange already has 2 women. Why is this person coming on, and now she's the queen, and she hasn't even played yet? You have Great Drake, who's a freaking OG that has been around for a while. and Emily Jacobson, who's a freaking boss. So, I mean, this is not any shade towards anyone, but like it just bothered me that, oh, she's the queen. What about these other two women that have been around since day one? Why is she? So, I mean, that's not, I'm not throwing shade to anyone or anything.
No, Brian, you're good. You're good.
It just bothered me that, like, why is she a queen title? All of a sudden you have two women already. If anything,
he was just trying to piss Shannon off.
I'm sure he was, but yeah, it was just unnecessary.
It'd make more sense if like her play match was against someone from the exchange. But
Yeah.
it wasn't.
Yeah.
So, but again, whatever.
Yeah.
All right. Well, with that, let's go ahead and move on to the second match of that day. And we had Jada
right.
Paramo and Jim Vejvoda. Paramo stepping back in the ring after the first time officially as part of the Burning Droogs being traded earlier this season. And Jim Vejvoda stepping back into the ring as well. And Paramo taking the victory on this one, which I thought was great. I thought the match was great from both sides. Obviously, Jader showing some strengths here on his side and getting some animated questions, which clearly is his strength because he's got kids in there. Those are probably on there constantly for him. And Vejvoda himself, we've seen him 3 times this year, and each time he's progressed as a game player. Yes. He's just become better over time. And just some questions that just ended up biting him in the ass a little bit. And so, Jill, I'll go to you on this one first. What did you think of Paramo versus Vejvoda?
I loved this match. I love both these players. For Paramo, I feel like he's learning the game. He's really embracing the game now. He's really learned how to play the game. He's starting to use those gameplay strategies. But I love Jader's. I love Vejvoda. Sorry, Vejvoda I was talking about. I love Jader's this little story that he's got going on. He was just some fan sitting in the stands. He happened to get that VIP ticket. He won the competition, and now he's now in the second round of the singles tournament. Like, that's freaking rad. And I've messaged Jader a couple times, and he sent me like, I'm studying tonight. Look at all of these notes that I have. And I'm like, dude, like, that's crazy. And so when I saw him in his round 2, and he kind of did struggle a bit in his round 2, even though it was a strength of his, I went, oh no. And I for a second, I had a mini panic attack, but he pulled it together and he got that W, which I think he was so stoked about, because now he's really becoming that kind of, I wouldn't say like a Cinderella story, but that kind of like fan fantasy, if you will, going from fan to legit competitor. So I'd love to see him keep going this, and I'm excited to see what he does.
Yeah, you could see the excitement on his face when he won. Mm-hmm. The second they announced him as the winner, you could just see it. He was beaming. Yes. Molly, thoughts on this one?
I agree. I mean, his story of being a fan just kind of plucked out of the audience and just like coming through and playing this game is so cool. I think I had Vejvoda for this match because I was like, the rock stars really need the points.
You're not wrong.
And I also loved the animated questions. Those are really good.
Me too.
He got Pixar, correct?
He got Pixar.
Or, yeah, he got Pixar. Okay.
We've gotten a lot of like 5-point Disney, 5-point animated questions this season, and I'm all for it. Let's keep that.
Maybe they're setting themselves up to see how it goes for a Disney tournament.
He said no. He said in the Facebook group no, and I am upset about it.
No,
he'll change his mind. It's okay.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm excited to see him play some more.
Brian.
I picked Jader on this one. It sucks because poor Vejvoda just comes so close to win every time.
It's always by like the 5.
Literally, it just always escapes him.
Yeah.
But you could see he wanted it, and he clearly learned the rules of the game a little bit better than in the past, which makes all the difference during a match. I mean, if you're someone that doesn't know when they can use the multiple choice or something like that, that's going to come back to bite you in the ass, especially if you just, I don't know, and you don't even try for the multiple choice. So this was definitely wiser and knowing the game, Vejvoda, Jader got a strength. And I mean, you play your strengths if you can. His strength happens to be Pixar because he has kids. If that's the case, you land on that wheel, you nail it, it might win you a game. And that's what kind of came down to it at the end of this match.
And that 5-pointer. Jim's
and that 5-pointer.
Was
yes,
crazy.
and that Leo put this in the chat here. That was just
was like a 10
Oh
point.
goodness!
Although
Goodness!
I did see some people in the master post saying like, I knew that one because he says this one line that like has, I guess they say it a couple times. I've never seen the movie, so I don't know.
Yeah.
So
It doesn't jump out as a movie that would be on someone's study list to be like, okay, I really need to remember this thing about this movie.
this movie, yeah.
Frank.
Yeah, real quick on that 5-pointer. That's a type of question where you have to be someone who's seen that movie plenty of times, because The Firm is not exactly a Tom Cruise movie. First of all, that I go back and watch. I've probably seen it like maybe twice in my entire life, and I just watched, and I only watched it because it was Tom Cruise. So, but if I'm gonna watch like a law type of movie, I'm gonna watch A Few Good Men, not The Firm.
Yeah.
So, the 5-pointer it's a great 5-pointer. It's pretty freaking ridiculous. And Jim Vejvoda is I think he's now with this joining the group of the Mark Hoyks and Alonso Dural. They play really well, but just get super bad luck at the craziest time.
I call it the Whitney Seibolds.
And that one, even Whitney, throw Whitney in there. Poor Whitney, Jesus
I
Christ,
know.
That guy. So these know so much,
Yes.
but as I said earlier, there's an aspect of this game that's not trivia based that you also have to conquer and master.
Yes.
And to your you said it earlier, Jim learning the game a little bit better through Roxy, I think helps. It didn't hurt him here when he checked multiple choice on 2 questions that he felt like he knew the answers to. Mathematically, it didn't hurt him, but in terms of, I think, of momentum and confidence and how that can affect your opponent, I think that does hurt him. So hopefully in the future, when we do see him, he gets a little more confidence to go for a full 2-pointer instead of checking down to multiple choice just to quote unquote make sure, because you're not going to be an elite player if you're checking down just to make sure. You can't give up points like that. You can't leave points on the board, really. So that's for Jim. But for Jader, again, you talked about it. Great story. Another great story in the Showdown this year. A fan coming into the league, got his guaranteed match, won it against Brittany Young, beats Jim Vejvoda here, a guy who has immense knowledge. I think that's, you look at his stat-wise, I mean, he's specifically with his team run, I think he's like in the 82% lifetime or something like that. So the guy knows his stuff. And if he just, and we always said, if he just knew the game, he could be right at the top. So, but you need that and also a little bit of luck. And the bad luck bit him on that 5-pointer. But with Jader, solid first-round player. So to me, that says he definitely belongs. I think he finally believes now that he belongs. But it's his second round that he's got to shore up. I mean, he got spinners and opponents in his favor and only walks away with 4 points. Not ideal. So he's got to work on that type of on that part of his game. Final round, that pulling out those 5-pointers is also a crapshoot. I think
did he have that for like the last second too? He used all his JTs and he pulled it out last second.
Yeah, he slow played it because he knew he was fairly confident. And I thought
he know it.
Oh yeah, he knew it. He had a really great idea of what that answer was because he said it was it's one of his favorite movies or he watched it a lot. So right off the bat, fairly right off the bat, he knew the answer or felt like he
pulled the Bateman.
A little bit, but
Got it.
I also think on a 5-point situation there, when it's burn him if you got him, and because you never know what might jog your memory. So I don't quite call it. It's not as malicious as a Bateman. I would think that's not
fair.
Jader's intention.
It's not, that's easy.
Yeah. So, but I think Jader, the guy is 2-0, and he's a fan from the crowd in Orlando. So I mean, that's
Orlando.
I
love that little.
He's from Florida.
Florida man is now 2-0. So there you go.
All right, let's go ahead and get to our final singles match before we get into the big pay-per-view discussion, and that is Brendan Meyer and Alonso Duralde. Probably the best just knowledge-based match we got out of the 5 single matches this week. Meyer walking away with the victory on this one, but it was not an easy victory. Alonso Duralde once again showing that he can be someone who's really just should be feared in this league. First time as a singles player, but really playing well as a singles player. Knowing that he knows the game when he's on his own, and just kind of, and also I don't know the last time we didn't get to see him do Festival Darlings, so it was fun to see him not do Festival Darlings. And yeah, but I mean, let's be honest. I had Meyer in this one, and so I'm not surprised to see him walk away with the victory. But I walked away from the match thinking, wow, I really want to see more of Alonso Duralde as a singles player. Brian, I'll go to you on this one first, man.
This was not of the singles match, the best one of the week.
Yes.
This was intense from the get-go. You went in there thinking the kid is going to walk probably fairly easily through this, and Alonso gave him literally every possible punch he could throw. I feel like I stress out more watching the kid because he's constantly running around the room, and something's going to happen.
I never get as much anxiety as watching the kid have anxiety.
I know. So like, I just, thrown onto that with a crazy match. I'm just sitting there like, oh my God. And then, so yeah, it was one of the best matches I think I've seen this year, because I'll admit it, I didn't think Alonso was going to come out and do that well. I thought Brendan was probably going to walk away pretty easily with this. Alonso is now someone that is highly on my radar, because I'm like, okay, you clearly know what you're talking about, and you could be a threat to pretty much anyone. So yeah, I mean, the kid barely got out of this one, barely. So going forward, he needs to be top notch. If that was the first round, it's only going to be harder from there if you want to keep going. So yeah. Jill?
This is exactly everything that I want in a match. Came down to the wire. Both players were having, number one, there was a great beard, which is my favorite in a showdown match. 2, it came down the wire. Both players were having fun, and there was also a bit of controversy. So it was one of those matches that just had everything in it, and it was so great. And I disagreed with Brian. I know what Alonso can do, and I had no doubt he was going to kill it. I know, I've seen him compete. I know how knowledgeable he is. He's one of those, I don't know if I would honestly kind of be surprised if he studies. He seems like one of those people that just has he's kind of like an Irwin, where he just has that inherent knowledge. So I was super thrilled for Brendan, but I was not surprised it went down to the wire. But I love when Brendan wins, because he's always just so happy about it. Even when he loses, he's happy about it. He's just like one of those just genuine people that's just again, just happy to compete, and he loves being in this league. But this was definitely one of the best matches we've had this year. It was so fun. It was so good. Are they in a relationship, or are they lesbians? I don't know. But
there's a couple of comments I was going to bring up towards the end.
Was hilarious.
Yeah,
he for sure was just so uncomfortable with saying the word lesbian.
Only did that because he just didn't want to say lesbians.
It was so funny.
That's what it felt like. It really felt like he didn't want to say lesbian.
That's why, because he was like, "Can you be more specific?" And Brendan was like, "Let's see me have it be read out first before I jump the gun there."
Molly.
For the lesbian thing, my immediate thought was, I wonder, I want to watch this movie now. First of all, I had never heard of it, but I was like, I wonder.
Lesbians, you say? I must watch this movie now.
Lesbian from the 60s? What? I want to watch this movie.
Yeah. to watch more lesbian movies. But I immediately thought, okay, like I wonder how obvious it is in the film. And maybe that was why he was nervous to just flat out say lesbians and instead say in a relationship. But I think having them say be more specific, that's happened before. And I think that was the right thing to do, in my opinion. Did it get challenged? I can't remember.
It got challenged. Well,
yeah.
Brendan challenged it because he thought their relationship was sufficient enough. But it was also just because they're lesbians doesn't mean they're in a relationship, and there was this whole thing. So I agree with the outcome of the challenge. They only gave him 1 point, but they allowed him to keep his challenge. But I said this on our play along with it. I don't think he should have been able to go to multiple choice personally, because he had already given an answer. And they asked him to clarify, and then he has to go to multiple choice. So I personally don't think they should have allowed him to go to multiple choice. Kind of like I think this is really unprecedented. I don't think this specific thing has really ever happened before. So just me personally, because he already gave an answer and they asked for specificity, I don't think they should have let him go to multiple, but that's just me.
It sounds like something that would happen in the Star Wars League.
Yes.
To be honest.
Yes, it sounds more like a Star Wars League problem than a singles league problem, 100%.
Yeah.
Frank?
Yeah.
Molly, do you have something else?
Oh, I was just going to say, Alonso, I think, has a wealth of movie trivia knowledge. He just had bad luck with this one. Mm-hmm. They both played great.
Frank?
Yeah, going back to the challenge, I don't think they should have let Brendan keep his challenge after they ruled the way that they did, because he lost the challenge. He was challenging that his answer was sufficient enough, and they did not, and they said it wasn't.
Yeah.
And so then therefore he should have lost his challenge. I will say that I think it's fine that after being asked to specify that he, thank you, Abby, that was allowed to check down multiple choice. I think that's okay. Because they're asking him to be more specific, and he's like, you know what? Okay, multiple choice. If he has to be more specific, then he can go, because it wasn't his final answer for what it's worth, I guess you could say. I don't know. You might have to take a vote on the league if that's how they want to approach it. Because I think you could really. I hear arguments for both sides. I personally think that if the player seems like he knows the answer and he's wavering back and forth, what are they actually looking for? You know, now I'm actually kind of talking myself into the fact that they probably shouldn't let him talk as they keep talking about it out loud. So maybe they shouldn't have. I don't know. But
I think
in the moment, I was fine.
I think them saying, "Can you be more specific?" is enough of a kind of hint to lead him in the right direction of what they're looking for. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think he really needed the multiple choice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So kind of.
Well, I want to ask this question, because this is something that's come up a lot, is the judges leading players on with that type of question. Mm-hmm. And I know what like Mark and Christian are doing there. Like if someone was talking and they said that, like my first instinct would be like, well, that's not it exactly. Can you be more specific? But in like the game itself, should they be allowed to lead them on, or should that be something that should be talked about at a later date, like after the season?
I think it depends, because in the Star Wars League, I can definitely see why they would say, "Can you be more specific?" Because in the Star Wars League, you need to be as specific as overly specific. With singles, I think sometimes you can maybe get away with being a little more vague in singles, but for this one, there's a difference between being lesbians and being in a relationship. They can be lesbian friends. They can be like they could just not be in a relationship. So for me, in a relationship was incorrect. But yeah, the whole leading a player because that question is weird. Like, so I kind of get why Mark did it, but like, also, should he have? Should
Which
they have just
I
said
think
that was wrong?
Also leads me to believe that Mark Ellis doesn't know the movie then as well, or at
Yeah.
all.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
So that's where that comes into play. So then you actually then have to defer to what the answer is right in front of you.
Yeah.
Because
Which is
now
what
you I think-
happens in Star Wars.
Yeah. Yep.
right. So I think that's human error right there.
That's fair. That's fair.
And I think at that point, I guess Mark was thinking, well, lesbians, he thinks of them as in a relationship, I guess by default, in a sense, or at least in that moment, and I guess just assume. I mean, I've never seen the movie, so I can't say one way or the other. I'm kind of venturing to guess that he's also never seen the movie.
All right,
and that's why it
new
ended up
week
going that
plans,
way.
guys. We're gonna sit down. We're gonna watch this movie together, and we will come back with an actual outcome of what we think about this question.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if like there was an actual relationship going on, and that was kind of like the main thing of the movie. So,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
All right. So before we get to the pay-per-view discussion, we do have a couple Streamlabs that have come
Did
through.
Brian talk about that match? Are you skipping over Brian?
Did I?
He doesn't even know.
I don't even know at this point.
No, you talked about it because you talked about.
he did. Because
yeah, 'cause I went to you
Oh,
first.
because I disagree
Oh,
with you,
yeah,
because
I
you
went-
said- you
Yeah,
said
yeah,
that
yeah,
Alonso,
yeah.
I
you
never go
didn't
first,
expect
so
it.
when I do, I'm
Sorry.
like, did
That's
I?
why I
Wow,
was like,
Jill.
wait, did you
Wow.
talk to Brian? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, Jill.
Sorry.
Wow,
I was
throwing me under the bus. Just
Not throwing
Just-
under the bus.
wow.
I'm just making
Wow.
sure everyone speaks their
She was
piece.
thrown under
Um,
the bus and then backed up. And
I
then-
backed up.
100%.
I
100%.
realized I was wrong.
Okay, so we do have a couple Streamlabs and no real questions here, just grateful donations here. And so
Thank you.
Samir, thank you for the donation. He says, "Hi, Frank." And then
Hi.
not Sean Sullivan with the donation. I'm only watching because Frank, the truth is here. So thank you very much for that.
Thanks, not
you.
Sean Sullivan, for only watching when Frank is here.
And then
You
Ferris
better not
Muthana,
be Sean Sullivan.
and then Ferris Muthana with the donation as well. And he says hello. So thank you all for the Streamlabs. Much appreciated. You guys, the Streamlabs link is in the description below if you want to send any questions in. You are more than welcome to do so, and we really appreciate that. But with that said, let's go ahead and get into the Friday pay-per-view, the one that we're really here to discuss. Let's get into this bad boy, because my goodness, was this a pay-per-view event, not just in the making, but one that absolutely lived up to the hype. And we'll start with the quote-unquote undercard, the first match of the night.
How that was an undercard is insane to me. That is
Yeah.
that is a main event in itself. But
Yes,
But
and so we have
It was an undercard. It was an undercard. You want to know why? Because their names are underneath the other names.
Okay.
Yes, there you go. There you go. So we had Who's the Boss? And so Mark Riley and Ben Bateman playing Shazam with Brendan Meyer and William Bibiani. And shockingly, Shazam walking away with a KO
You were
in
shocked?
this match.
Were
Yeah.
you not?
Well, oh,
That's
Were you
Oh,
not? Were you not, Frank?
At the result? Are you talking about the result or just how it happened?
I'll
The
say
results, just
yeah,
had you
just the
told
KO
us, had you told us
KO
at the
in
beginning
general.
that they were going to be KO'd, I would have said you're high, and that would never happen. Like, no,
Sorry, my internet.
But-
dropped
Yeah,
out
I mean,
there. Oh, sorry.
you're good.
it's crazy. I mean, look, it's 13-10 after first round. Shazam's up by 3 points. We go into round number 2, and Who's the Boss is just struggling. They spin opponent's choice. They get classics. Obviously, something that's very, very difficult, and they only end up giving 5 points from that round. And Shazam walking away with 4 points in steals, which was the big deal. And after Who's the Boss's round 2, Shazam is up 17-15. Which is just absolutely crazy in the situation of this kind of match. And then after round 2, obviously Shazam goes in. They land on comedies. They take it 2 weeks in a row. They've taken their first wheel spin, not really considering spinning again. They've just taken it. They've trusted themselves and they've gone with it. They end up getting 9 points, walking with the KO, 11 points up. Just absolutely crazy. We'll get into the challenge a little bit after the discussion of the match, because I know that's something we're going to talk about. But let's just talk about this in general. And Molly, I'll go to you first. I mean, and I know you had said the possibility of a TKO in the final match because it could have gone one way or the other. Were you ever expecting this in the first one?
No.
No.
I try not to ever expect a KO. Just I don't know, for reasons.
be nice.
Yeah, I guess. But man, this was such a interesting match, and them getting classics on the wheel, and those questions were insanely hard. I don't think I knew a single one.
I don't think I've ever heard of anything that was asked in that
I was
round.
like, I apparently have never seen a classic movie. And then all the points that were stolen, I was like, damn. That was, and then it was basically over from there.
Jill.
Going in, even after round one, clearly, or else they wouldn't have gotten KO'd. Their round one they struggled on, and then they spun opponent's choice. And some players can get opponent's choice and freaking kill it, and it just apparently classics is a Achilles heel for who's the boss. Now we all seen it. They literally admitted it at their after interviews that you apparently can't study classics, which I think is kind of an excuse in my opinion. It's okay to say you don't know, it's okay. You can say you don't know the answer. To me, that's not weakness. Like, for you to say that that's hard to study, I think is kind of a cop out.
And look, I'm sorry to interject, but I may not know these movies, but the questions had the verbiage of Oscar nominated or Oscar win. These weren't like completely obscure classics. Classic
and
movies.
you could hear it, in the way they were talking through the questions. Bateman and Riley were going, "This won the Oscar in this won the Oscar in this." So they could have deducted it. I knew two of the answers.
I thought it was insanely fortunate, given that how Bateman studies Oscars, that they were getting Oscar-related classic movies, and I was like, "Oh, this aspect of the questions might help them," but they were just washed.
I will say,
after that first round.
I think what kind of shifted the game was when Bateman made that kind of strategic dig at Bibbs.
Yeah.
And then right after that, he missed getting a perfect round. And then Brendan, of all people who you do not expect to pull that card, went, "Oh, funny how that happened right after you made that comment." And then everything just spiraled.
And that
from
just,
there.
to me, for that jab from Brendan, just really demonstrated how badly he wanted to win.
Yes.
Because you say that when you come up, you have a retort like that when you really want to beat whoever you're playing that day. As much as you might respect them, because there is a lot of respect, I think, between Brendan and Bateman. I won't
100%.
venture a guess between Bibbs and Bateman. I think that's I think they got
Brendan highly respects everybody in this league. Let's be real. Let's be real. But I think as soon as Brendan came back with that jab, they were grasping at straws at that point. They never came back. I think they were stunned that someone came back with like their own Jedi mind tricks. Because I feel like Bateman especially, but Who's the Boss is that kind of team that uses like those strategic mind trick gameplay. And when someone did it back to them, it just, they didn't know what to do, and their mind wasn't in the game at that point. And it just, I mean, every player, every team is going to have one of those matches that just does not go their way with the wheel slice, with the questions, with how they're playing. And for this, that was Who's the Boss today, unfortunately. And this was Ben's first time getting knocked out. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, but it happens to all the best players. I mean, it's happened to Merle. It's happened to Kalinowski. It's happened to many players. So
Alex.
Alex. Thanks, Kalinowski. But it's, I think I said in our when we talked about this beforehand that this match really could have gone either way. It was really a coin toss. Never in my life would I have expected it to be a knockout like it was. There was no way. And when it happened, me, Brian, and Jake watched together. All of us couldn't talk for literally 45 seconds.
Yeah.
We were just like,
I think the most telling part about the match is after round one, when Finstock and Riley and Bateman, there's a lot of reassuring going on there that just didn't feel like your standard. Yeah, it's okay. We got it. It felt really,
yes,
desperate within them and also Bateman taking the jab at Bibiani in the first round is it's obviously a calculated move, but there was a big miscalculation on when Bateman was going to strike at Bibiani, because Bibiani is one of the best first round question players of 100%. All time. And to think that you're going to try and it's a calculated strike, because if you can get him at the best part of his game, which is the first round, then you have an edge. But in this instance, I think Bateman overestimated when to implement it, at what time. And the fact that he did it so early on, I think kind of it demonstrated to me that he was very, very worried about this match and how it could go. And also, we have to talk about they burned all the repeats in the first round.
Yes, that was nuts.
Incredibly. I mean, look, you don't have anything to fall back on if you were to get to a 5-pointer. You have 15 seconds, and that is it for a 5-pointer, which I was expecting this match to go to for both teams. So for them to burn all three of them, and by the way, they only ended up with 10 points. And
I think twice of the repeats they didn't even get the question. They still didn't get it.
For sure once,
for sure once, maybe twice, but so they completely wasted a JTE, and it was just not the usual gameplay you see from an OG former champion like Riley and a former champion and Ben Bateman. Like I
think that's just also over preparing in a strategic sense against the team, because Shazam is not a team that you can really hyper strategize on, because they know so much. Their gaps overlap, or I'm sorry, their strengths and weaknesses, they overlap to cover each other's weaknesses. So there's not a whole lot of strategy that you can really do, especially for their first round. I mean, that's obviously mental warfare, but Bibbs is a veteran of this league. Brendan Meyer, I think he's been in many different types of situations where he's been under certain pressure. And while the Schmoedown is certainly unique in its way, I think, Brendan Meyer, who has, I think, just immense confidence in Bibbs, that's very reassuring for him in a way to, go through anything. And I think likewise with Bibbs, to tell you the truth as well. So that's why they're a great team. Just an absolute destruction from Shazam over who's the boss, and at least question marks for who's the boss, big time.
Go ahead. I
will add just another input. I wonder if it was just Ben versus Bibbs. I think that what Ben had did would have definitely rattled Bibiani, but Bibiani being with Brendan, I think really helped him not let that phase him. So I think if it wasn't for Brendan being there, that could have completely gone in Bateman's favor, but Brendan made sure that did not happen.
Yeah.
Molly, go ahead.
I think I had my favorite question in round 1 from this match, which was the animated one. And it just makes sense.
Was that open season? Oh no, it was.
It was. It was
open season.
Open season. Okay, I knew that one.
It just made so much sense that the kid knew.
Was the one who knew it.
Yeah, because someone said open range, and I was like, okay, they're getting
close.
Bateman.
Riley did.
Bateman said open range.
No, I think Riley said open range.
One or the other. Yeah. Well, mistake me if I'm wrong on this one. So after the mind warfare by Bateman in the first round, I don't think he got a question right after that, because Riley is the only one that correctly answered in the second round. I rewatched it earlier. Every question that Bateman flat out answered in the second round, they got wrong. And I think he may have missed everything after the warfare thing with Bibiani.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, Bibiani beat Bateman at his own game. And then you, on top of the fact that he got knocked out, talk about a double whammy. That's no fun. So I mean, he felt the full wrath of Bibiani that night, because the mental warfare, the knockout, just all of it.
Yes, Abby. Queen.
Of course.
She said it down. She had Queen.
Oh, there you go.
Queen.
There you go.
queen.
I mean,
Good questions.
Yeah.
Brian,
All those
interject here,
matches,
man.
both
What
those matches
were your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I had 3 takeaways from this whole thing. First being that Riley did not have a good first round, flat out. Like that was a big struggle. We had talked about
how the match kind of hinged on which Riley we were going to see.
Yeah.
And it seemed
Yes.
like it might have kind of bled right into Bateman as well.
Yeah, and someone, I literally just saw someone put it in the comments that someone said that Riley admitted he didn't feel comfortable going in. Yeah, there you go. He didn't feel comfortable with it. So,
and correct me if I'm wrong, also Bateman's first time competing.
Yes.
digitally.
Yes.
Okay.
So, I mean, that could have played a factor into it. Maybe not. I mean, I have a hard time. Frank, you kind of just did the head thing like I was probably thinking.
No, I was reacting to what Jill said about Bateman's first time playing online.
That's what I was thinking too.
Sort of true.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. But yeah.
Not to mention, so far, I mean, I mean, yes, it was his first, but the man does so much stuff online already.
Yeah.
It's, to me, that's not that good of an excuse. My second thing was last week, was it Lon or one of them from Final Exam, or Paul, Lon or Paul said 9 out of 10 times you're going to play Shazam, you're probably
It was
Good.
Paul.
Paul. Yeah.
It was Paul.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, they are on point. This was one of those 9 times that they were freaking on point. They had no problem with this. Nothing was going to phase them. They did more damage to Who's the Boss did more damage to themselves than Shazam did any other way. So I don't, to be honest, I'll say I don't think Who's the Boss has really any excuse. They flat out kind of fell on their face. And then, I mean, my other thing was, I think Bateman kind of ate crow a little bit, and he learned a little bit, I think.
A nice slice of humble pie.
Yeah, and what Kalinowski learned when he pisses off Roka, you light a fire under someone, and they're going to come for you. If you are going after someone and you're pissing them off or getting them going, they're only going to come for you harder. They're not going to be cower for the most part and be afraid. They're going to come from you and come for you. And Bibbs came for Bateman from the get-go. Yeah. He was not going to
He tried to play the game upside down. He was ready to do those mind tricks, man. Right. I can only imagine the backstage talk of Christian going, "You need to go right side up." And he's going, "No, I'm okay." Like, like he wanted to play that game upside down to, like,
nothing was going to phase Bibbs.
He was ready for a fight.
Yeah, he was in the zone more than I've seen it recently with him, and. Not only was he in the zone, Brendan was there backing him up from the get-go. Like, there was nothing. These two literally were ready to tag team to take these people out. Like,
I think for me, Shazam is one of the best cohesive teams we've personality-wise and knowledge-wise that we've seen, in my personal opinion.
They definitely balance each other out very well.
Yeah.
The thing that I want to say lastly about Shazam is it's a very apt name, and they really should be called the Blitzkrieg, because they will pile up points in the first and second round like nobody's business, and they put so much pressure on you going into that final round in a 3-round match. Now their only loss is to the Founding Fathers, and they were TKO'd. That's a 5-round match.
Yes.
There's much more room for any team, if they're down by a wide margin or a small margin, to weather the storm and fight back against a team like Shazam, who's going to just bludgeon you in those first 2 rounds.
Mhm.
And if you're not experienced or a champion like the Founding Fathers, it's going to be hard to overcome that sort of obstacle. Shazam is such a great. It might be one of the greatest 3-round teams of all time when it's all said and done, because their point average through the first 2 rounds is astronomical. Their accuracy rate through the first 2 rounds is through the roof. It's the best of all time. I don't have the exact number off the top of my head, but if it's not number 1, it's close.
It's top 3
behind by time. Oh, I would top 2.
Top 2.
I'm that confident. I don't. It's gonna be very.
Not surprised by that
close.
though. I'm not at all surprised.
Yeah. So, that's what's funny about Who's the Boss and the approach is that he had to have known they were going to come out and at least throw up, 20 some odd points in the first, in the first round, 23, 24 points in the first, 2 rounds. But it was just it was a doozy, man. It was a doozy.
Doozy.
I mean, look, without the steals, they scored 22 points through 2 rounds. With the steals, they scored 26. I mean, you see teams matches where they get that many points all together. And I mean, it's insane.
Yeah.
And so
I'm gonna say my last thing was, to me, it almost was like precision how they were going through Who's the Boss.
Mm-hmm.
First round, they nailed it. Second round, they literally like outplayed game wise on them. They got something, threw it at them. Not only was it something that they knew the other team was going to struggle with, but the kid was ready to take anything that they missed. Mm-hmm. And then they go to their round in the lead and just wipe the floor with it. So it was the most precise takedown in my opinion I've seen in a while of a team. And for it to be a team the caliber of Who's the Boss, that just impresses me even more, because I mean, I think if you would have come in saying someone's getting KO'd in this, I would have been like, yeah.
Sure.
I'll hit that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then to see how it went down, it was like, whoa, okay, that was wild. So yeah, it was fantastic.
And we still haven't talked about the elephant in the room, which is that, because that was also great. What the hell was that challenge? I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, we haven't even talked about it.
What
it's called desperation, Jill.
It's literally called grasping at straws.
There's so many Elvises out there, though.
But here's my thing with that is if they didn't go to multiple choice and he only answered Elvis, he had every right to challenge that, because there could be other actors named Elvis out there. It was in multiple choice, and only one of the answers had Elvis as the answer. If you can answer A, B, C, and D, and that's sufficient, you can answer Elvis and have it be sufficient.
That's 100% right.
That challenge was 100% desperation, and I like Bateman. You weren't gonna get awarded that. Like, I hope, because that was just exactly. It could have been his cousin.
I agree. I was shocked when it was happening. I mean, we were watching together. I
think I literally went, "What the hell?"
Yeah, I couldn't believe.
What are you doing?
I mean, this stems from the Ethan Irwin match, 60s. This is where this comes from. So, and this is what's going to happen now. So,
and I can't. I'm sorry, I can't stand those like petty grasping at challenges. Like, it just wastes time. I don't think it's cool. I don't know. I
do get why he did it, because he's trying to avoid a knockout, which was right there on the table.
But even
for them.
he knew that they weren't going to give him those points. It's been
did
freaking
he, though?
Bateman.
Did he?
Yes, he if he didn't, it's Ben Bateman. He knows this game like the back of his hand. Like,
I honestly feel like they probably were so far in their own heads. Holy crap! What can we do to stop this? That they were looking for something, and they were hoping that challenge killed the momentum, and sorely backfired.
That was the dumbest challenge ever made in Schmoedown history. I'm sorry. It was.
Oh,
it was
you don't think
so
Brandon
dumb.
Hannah's challenge wasn't the
Okay.
dumbest?
Okay, that close second
Yeah.
from Brandon
Yeah.
Hanna, because
Okay.
both of them have a list. There's a list of IG movies and there is a list of ABCD. Like both of them are equally stupid. It was.
Okay, so two things before we move on. We have not addressed this. The great appearance by Mr. Lon.
So good.
Kidding.
So good.
Fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. So on par. Just it was perfect. It was absolutely perfect. I don't know your guys' thoughts at all, but it was just great.
Cleaned up his act and then
Is he gonna
Yeah.
now? Is he gonna be dressed like that in his next match now? Like, what's the character story? Here?
no,
What's
he
gonna happen?
cleaned up his act and then got upset that he didn't do it. So he said he's going right back to drinking. So
Good,
he
good for
realized,
you,
yeah.
Lon. Good for you.
so good.
And then second, we do have one Streamlabs that has come through, and so thank you for not Abby Friel for the donation.
Who could it be?
I don't have anything to say, but shout out to my open season question in round 1. So
Woo!
yes, there
Wait, you
go.
said you were not Abigail Friel. Then who wrote the
That
open
must have
season
been not
question?
Sean Sullivan.
Was it not Sean? Oh, I get it. So not Sean Sullivan is Abby, and
Yeah.
not Abby is Sean. It all makes sense now. We figured it out, guys.
Okay, let's go ahead and wrap up the show here and discuss the big match, the final match of the night, the pay-per-view title teams match between Corruption and Founding Fathers. Founding Fathers, the champions, and Corruption trying to come in and dethrone them, and they very much did that in, I'll be honest, a shockingly respectful match from both sides.
Right? Yeah, there wasn't a
and
whole
it-
lot of
And it
Classiest
That's
match.
because they knew. They were both nervous. They were both.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They knew.
Oh,
100%. And I'll say this. I mean, I'll have to go back and look at what other matches are like title matches, but this is one of my all-time favorite teams matches.
Me too.
If
Mine
not
too.
Oh yeah.
title match in
Mine
general.
too.
Like it was so fun. The back and forth, the points scored, Founding Fathers being up the first 3 rounds, betting with 3 points and taking a chance in that round 3 and going up even more points. And then Corruption coming back the final 2 rounds. And then, I mean, we could talk about the Chance Ellison thing too with the round, the 5-pointer question here in a bit, but
Sneaky
wow, what an absolute match in this one. Frank, I'll go to you first on this one, man. What did you think on this one?
Oh man, this is a great match. I was on the edge of my seat for real. I was in my room here watching this match, and I'm, man, it was great, and because you're watching a really great rivalry. We don't really have it that much anymore, just because of how much the league is changing. Teams and players are dropping in and out and switching factions or joining up, combined. So this is one of the few ones that we have that actually has any kind of oomph to it. So for these two teams to go in very respectful of one another, and how could Founding Fathers not respect Corruption? I mean, yeah, they took the belts from them, but Corruption slapped Founding Fathers away a couple times already. So there is that threat there, and Founding Fathers respected it, and Corruption respected the fact that, Founding Fathers took the belts from them, and that they're Mount Rushmore players, Hall of Famers. So all of that led to just a very tense match. And Chance Ellison, did I drop out there for a second?
You dropped.
No, you're
out.
good. You're
ahead.
good.
Now
There
you're
you go.
You're good.
Okay.
You said you left off at Chance Ellison. What about Chance Ellison?
Chance Ellison, you could call him the MVP of the match, of his faction, of the year. But Mike also came up huge in the speed round.
Yes.
He basically beat Dan Merrill in the speed round, which, is a feat in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
So it was it's definitely a combined team effort there. And that's what I love about, I think I kind of prefer team matches to singles, but man, both provide excellent matches and drama. But teams for me, and this match personifies just how great the competition is, how great the gameplay is, how great the camaraderie can be, the rivalry can be. It had all the elements you really wanted, and they have history, so it was just a perfect storm. Kind of unfortunate it was a virtual match, but I'll take it.
Right?
This is what we're gonna get.
Jeez.
Molly.
A Chance is quickly becoming one of my all-time favorite characters, players to watch. I mean, he not only was he calm and like he always is with this whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try this on my next match.
I want
okay?
this on a shirt. Can Chance get a
He
shirt?
might
of
copyright
just,
it.
Oh,
He
the
might
hands?
trademark it.
That's
Like,
great.
Just
That's
the
great.
hands.
But yeah, just the wealth of knowledge that he knows, how calm he was, and I agree. Like this was a very, very tense match, with the exception of Chance being cool as a cucumber. You could see it in Kalinowski's face a few times, that like those nerves really getting him racked. And then I loved Roka just standing up and like kind of breathing kind of heavy on his microphone and just like pulling a the kid, you know, like
Pulling
Yeah,
up the kid. So much heavy breathing these matches.
yeah. This was such a fun match to watch. And like some of the categories, Angela Bassett, Nora Ephron, like this is some hard stuff, and it was so entertaining to watch.
Jill?
This has match of the year contender for me here. I think for me, this is my favorite match of the year. I agree with what people are saying in the chat. Chance has player of the year in my books right now. This, again, with both of these team matches, for me, these really could have gone either way, because we've seen before how Founding Fathers and Corruption just one wins, the other one wins. One wins, the other one wins. So this really could have gone either way. This, and Mike said it at the end, this was Chance's match. This was his match. He is really the reason why they won.
That 5-pointer, man.
And that okay, so as soon as Corruption won, I messaged Chance and I said, Chance, you fucking did it. This was like, you fucking did it. And he was like, you're not the first person to say that to me, but thank you. And I'm like, no, dude, like, so I will, because I told him that I would as we do this reaction. I was fucking pacing around the room. I was watching with Brian and Jake. I said, I need to stand up. I need to stand up right now. Because he was contemplating that 5-point question. And he said the answer, like, either the first JT or the second. He said, we looked it up and he said the answer. We were like, you have it right. Oh my God, say the answer. And then
I looked it up.
And then Mike was like, are you sure it's not this? And we're like, Mike, no, stop it.
Yes, the entire time we had pulled it up on our phones, and then Chance said it, and then they repeated.
Screaming.
Oh, we were
pacing.
Losing our minds watching.
We were losing our freaking minds. And then I was like, I swear to God, if he says it after the second JTE and then he doesn't say final answer, I am going to die. Like,
did they use all of their repeats?
They used all of their JTEs on the fifth question.
Yeah.
I think so did Founding Fathers. I think Founding Fathers used all 3 of theirs as well.
Yeah, they all burned them in the right spot. Yeah,
that to me shows like these are top players.
Yes,
experience. Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
And can we confirm that Chance did 100% know the answer as soon as it was asked?
He said it right after they win. He went, "Hey, Mike, I knew the answer," and then Mike went, "You son of a." Yeah.
Way to give your teammate a heart attack, Chance. Way to give me a heart attack, Chance.
It was great theater for sure, though.
It was great theater. I was dying. My blood pressure went through the roof because I was freaking pacing around the room going, I swear to God, if he doesn't say this answer.
Yeah.
It was so good.
When they were reading the question, I was like, before they finished reading the question, I was like, oh man, this is a producer question?
Well, when they said horror, my heart kind of dropped.
So did mine.
Oh God, because with horror questions, it can really go either way. Like it's really a coin flip for those.
When it was a more recent horror flick, then I was like, okay, he actually might have it. I was like, Chance probably does have a shot at it. If it was older, then I'd be like, oh, okay, well, this is gonna be rough. I was still giving Chance a decent shot at it because I just kind of know his knowledge. Mm-hmm. But once it's more current, yeah, I think.
Is there anything that kid doesn't know? Like,
well, as they kept reading the question, then they were like, "This person also directed," and I was like, "Oh, if it's a director, there's a good chance Chance knows this."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chance.
Yeah, it wound up being more of a director question than than anything. So, yeah, with that aspect, you're totally right, Molly. It's like, yeah, Chance probably, even Mike to an extent, but more so Chance, obviously, who being the stronger player, which Mike clearly. That's one thing actually you have to say about Corruption is that there's always this when you talk about teams and who's the A player and who's the B player, there are some of them are like, oh, well, we don't really think of it that way, blah blah blah. But I think in certain aspects, it's important to know your role and know your place and when to, who to defer to, because that, I think can stifle any of this internal strife that might go on there. And if you know your role, you know your place, and you know how you contribute, and you all know where everyone lies, instead of playing this ego game, then you're going to be more than fine. And I think actually that's part of the success for Founding Fathers, because when's the last time you ever heard Rocha defer to anybody, even before he was with Dan Murrell? But once he got to Dan Murrell, he was like, no, this is the greatest of all time. Yeah. He used to say that about himself all the time. Once he got with Dan Murrell, learned.
Like, oh no, it's this guy.
Yeah. So, and I think there's a lot that goes into that helps form a team that makes them as strong as they are when you see it with Founding Fathers and corruption.
Brian, before I get to you real quick, we do have a Streamlabs that has come through, and this is from Tim Sim. So Tim Sim, thank you for the donation. And it's to something that we definitely need to talk about. All it took was round 4 where corruption played a near flawless speed round to flip the game towards their favor and rode with it to the win when Chance nailed the 5-point question. Is that night the start of FinSoc Exchange's collapse? Let's go ahead and talk about the first part of the question, the speed round. I know when we were watching, I was shocked that Murrell and Rocha were struggling as much as they were. And then Chance and Mike just flew right through it. They go 9 for 9, and Murrell and Rocha go 6 for 8. And so a big point swing there. I mean, Jill, you just said that you weren't that surprised. What are your thoughts on the whole thing?
And I think I told you guys when we were watching is that if there's a point in this game where where corruption can come back in this, it's the speed round. Because I think Dan has proven a couple of times that the speed round is really not like his best round. He knows the answers, but he's one of those players that needs to take the time to really think about it. I believe Rocha's the same way too. And so to see corruption absolutely crush it, and for Founding Fathers to still do good, they did not have a bad speed round. It just wasn't as good as corruption. So and that was just my feelings on it, is that if there's a round where corruption can really take it to the next level and come out on top, it was the speed round, and it was 100% proven right. They didn't miss a question. I think they just skipped the one, and it's hard to come back when a team goes 9 of 10 in a speed round.
Yeah, that's when I was thinking of. I'm looking at the stats right now. So Murrell and Rocha both having a miss instead of a pass. That to me shows that they're not quite like
comfortable.
They're not quite comfortable on par with the way that the digital speed round works yet, because they just like blurted out an answer instead of what they should have done as pass.
Well, then even with the Bateman-Murrell match back in Atlanta, I believe that was, Bateman wiped the floor with Dan in the speed round, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Yeah. I think Dan may have gotten one or 2 points in the speed round, and Ben wiped the floor with him.
Bateman's scary with the buzzer.
Yes.
You put no buzzer in front of him.
No. But it just shows that, for Dan anyway, that he's not as quick on the not maybe just the buzzer reflexes, but also the coming out with an answer super quickly, which he still had a great speed round. It just wasn't up to corruption caliber.
And I did write down the wrong stats. That's on me. I didn't include the missed points for the questions. I always forget to do that. So they only got 4 points in that round, not the 6 that I had said before. Frank, thoughts on the speed round?
I was curious to see how it was going to shape the match, because while it was still fairly close, right? Founding Fathers did have the lead, and if they just did what they, I don't know, it's that the whole situation. You gonna go? You gonna wager? You gonna go? You gonna wager? And it was all really wacky. But
that was a lot.
They'll get it all. I know they'll get it all straightened out for the next one. But I was interested to see how this would play, because one player gets one set of questions and the other player gets another different set of questions. And I know Christian had talked about on the broadcast how people were talking about, like, it doesn't allow for teams to come back and make a comeback the way that we felt like it prevented Smets, or that it prevented was it Ethan Irwin and Dan Merle, or to that like. So, but what I will say to that though is the difference there is there's two players, two different sets of questions, and with singles and Inner Geekdom, it's just that one player who can go on a rhythm of the 10 questions where it's just 5. You get 5, and you don't have as much time or roughly the same amount of time. So I think there's a different dynamic going on there that can allow for things like that to happen in teams where I think, especially when you get hyper specific with Inner Geekdom, I'm sorry, and Star Wars, that's the one I'm referencing, not Merle and Erwin. There's too many things going on. It's specific to
What's happening?
Inner Geekdom and Star Wars specifically, where it's just so it's really not going to happen with those divisions. More so with teams and singles, I could see it happening. But and that's what, in a sense, saves corruption in this match. As long as you can keep it close, it was always going to come down to the 5-pointer,
yes.
Sure, but it's who's going to have the 5-pointer that wins them the game, and the speed round can help you get to that spot, especially because it's second to last round.
Brian, thoughts on it all since we have not gone to you yet?
Yeah, I had chose corruption to win this. This is an instant classic in my opinion.
Yes.
It's one of those matches that if you want to show someone a good match,
I was gonna say, if you're introducing someone to Schmoedown, this is one of the matches you show.
This is one of those types of matches that you put in front of them and they'll get hooked. Not to mention give the backstory of how many times they played each other and everything. It was fantastic from the get-go. And it was you could tell they were having fun, and there was no, it was fun to watch because as we love a good like character match where they're popping off at each other and blah, 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 blah. But sometimes it's just fun to watch a downright battle for battle. Who knows more trivia? And that's all you're talking about. And that's exactly what this was. It was literally who knows trivia between 4 friends. And they were chirping at each other, but it was fun. Like there was no malice, nothing.
No. I loved the little bit when they were answering on the speed words. This one went, is it this? I think it's this. Are you sure it's this?
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident it's this. Like that little back and forth was so much fun. Yeah, it was.
I concur.
Can we make that on a shirt, but spelled it KON? Like
Yes.
Yeah.
There you go.
Making a shirt,
Great.
guys.
And trademark. No,
And trademark.
but
I concur.
yeah, it was so good from the get-go. Like, yeah, I mean, you can't ask for a better title match than that. It just, yeah, and I mean, Shannon, Winston's been killing it, but you can't count out Shannon's managing right now.
You cannot.
I think she found something and it is freaking working. Whatever it is, either, I mean, it sounds like from what Mike was saying that everyone in corruption is hungry for a belt, whatever, and they're working very well as a team. Even the people that aren't doing anything are helping them. And if that's the case, that is scary because, I mean, you never know what team is a little bit disconnected from each other. But if you have a team that is cohesively working together, this is the type of stuff you're gonna see. A team going from last place to dominating, winning belts, and taking first place.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm not saying who should have manager of the year right now because it is still very early. But to me, Shannon and Winston are on equal level right now. Yeah. So I mean, she was not, during that match, she was probably the most aggressive person not even playing.
Yeah.
For sure.
She was gonna make sure that some bullshit was not gonna happen.
No, she was ready for it.
Team was gonna lose from it. she was on Roca for those hands. She was on
Good
it.
on her. Good on her for being
But at
on
the
those
same-
hands.
yeah.
Right.
If you are willing to do whatever to win, so be it. I mean, I'm in no way am I saying that Roca was cheating and have his hand.
Oh, no.
But like,
But he took the time to say, I can't cheat.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the type of ferocity that she has right now. You put your hands down, she's gonna call you out on it.
Yeah.
She's not gonna
I also appreciate any manager that is already waiting with the champagne right next to you, just waiting for your team to win. So
Yeah.
On the manager of the year talk discussion, it's I know a lot. I saw the poll I think today in the Facebook group that overwhelmingly still for Winston, and I get it. There's also an aspect of how Shannon has to manage. Shannon is. Someone pointed out that Shannon has Chance and Mike. It's like she has to manage those expectations, fulfill those expectations. Guess who's not doing that? Dagnino.
Yeah.
Right? So there is a difference right there and a different type of metric in terms of how you're looking at who's manager of the year. Has Winston put together a good squad through the draft? Yes. Has he managed some fairly inexperienced players to incredible runs? Sure. Has he formulated an incredible team with Final Exam? Yeah. The ace run, Chandru winning the Inner Geekdom title. So he's done a lot of great things, and he got another win out of Rogue 2, right? With Lavick and Liz Shannon Miller. That's a combo he put together that won him a match. So he's got a lot of things going for him. But Shannon has to manage the expectations of seasoned champion level players, and she delivered a championship, a team championship. She delivered an all corruption Inner Geekdom tournament, right? So you look at the aspects now. When you look at corruption singles up to this point, before I get into the tournament, rather, hasn't been ideal. She's tried out rookies, right? Hasn't really worked until Marisol and Adam Collins. She plucked them out of free agency, threw them in, and got wins.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, she has other aspects to her managing style and year that I think makes the race more close in my eyes than I see from the audience right now, the fans right now. But I'm not going to be mad if Winston wins it at all if we're judging it up to this point.
No.
But I think the race should be a lot closer in people's minds. Yes, the Corruption Invitational. So I think it's actually much more closer, but I get it too as well. But that's my opinion on it.
I agree. It's become much closer as of recently. Like Winston very much had like the first half of the year from April to the beginning of July, it was like all Winston. But ever since the IG tournament, the end of it, and now the teams match and going into the singles tournament, the coin is kind of flipping towards Shannon's end. And so it's all going to come down to what the singles tournament does. And then obviously what happens is spectacular as well with everything going on there. I will say one thing about the match, though, is I really, really enjoyed seeing a different side of Mike Kalinowski and kind of taking a backseat to Chance and realizing that his game has not just gotten better, but surpassed what he can do in singles and teams format. Because it looked like to me that Chance was very much the A player and Mike is the B player. And that kind of has flipped as of recent. We're going, beforehand, it was always Mike and Chance. To now, it very much feels like it's Chance and Mike enjoying seeing Chance do that and trusting him in these situations. It was very fun to see because through the virtual format, we've seen a very different Mike Kalinowski, right? He's very laid back. He's having fun. He's enjoying what he's doing. And in the teams format, he can do that while trusting his partner to be able to do what he does, getting a perfect round, getting the bonus question, crushing a 5-pointer. I mean, just like Mike said, I'm taking the 2 because I trust you with a 3. And so it's just a different side of Kalinowski, and I'm really liking seeing it, and it's really, really working for them. And they are very much a team to be scared of. Obviously, they have the belts, but they're better than they ever were before.
Yeah,
I think to that aspect you're talking about, where it's Mike and Chance, and now it's Chance and Mike. I think when Chance got paired with Kalinowski, Chance is a new player. He's and so he needed some sort of protection and be showed the ropes in a way that Mike could afford at that time, especially at that year, the Anarchy year, where he was just on fire. So he kind of guide Chance. Now Chance has really come into his own, but I have thought from the beginning that Chance was the stronger of the two. Now Mike certainly went on incredible runs and had some big wins, but I always felt like Chance was the guy. And I think Kalinowski, I'm speculating here, but I think he probably figured out early on that Chance is that guy. He's better than me. Okay. But I can still play at a high level and complement his game. We complement each other's game. But I think Chance at the end of the day has always known more than Mike. That's not a slight at Mike, but again, it's going back to recognizing your roles, and that's how they've had the success that they've had. So I love their dynamic, and what I think we have to take note of is player A and player B. Not necessarily, who's the stronger and who's the weaker. It's young and an older player. Corruption. Young and older player with Bibiani and Brendan Meyer. Young and an older player with Lon and Paul Oyama. Look at the type of success those teams are having. Because as we get question writers like Abby, who's on the younger side, paired with someone who's a little bit older in PJ Campbell, you're going to get old and new. So you're going to have to cover these areas. And I think that's why you're seeing the success from those types of teams. Doesn't mean they're going to win it all, but it means they're going to be in every single match, and it's going to be a tough match all the time.
PJ's going to come for you for calling him old.
I know. He's not even old. He's like my
You can
age.
drive his ass up here to
how old
LA
is
once
PJ?
again.
I think he's like 30.
All right, well, I'm older than PJ, so we can't talk about that.
I'm older than PJ, but here nor there.
So I think the thing that we should wrap up the show with is the question that Tim had thrown us, is that is this the beginning of the collapse for the Finstock Exchange? We had seen them up top all year long, and I'll go ahead and throw this up while I talk, because these are the official faction standings as of right now. Corruption is in the lead. They're tied with Swag, but because of less losses. And Frank, if you want to describe that for us, how that works out 1 and 2.
Yeah, so technically, if this was how it ended at the end of the year, Christian has stated that Corruption and Swag would have some sort of match to determine the winner. So
that would be good.
Yeah, that would happen at Spectacular. With the reason I have Corruption up top is because of the win percentage. 12 wins out of 18 matches is better than 11 out of 18.
Yep.
There is really no set tiebreaker formula or set of rules that I'm aware of at this moment. I did inquire about that, so I'm trying to get clarification from the league. But as the win percentage it's better than Swag's, even though they're tied at 35. So that's how I kind of delineated who was above who.
I mean, how many of those wins are aces, though?
Yeah.
I will
got
never
Meyer.
stop talking about Ace coming in with a plan match and going all the
dominating.
way.
God.
That to me already
And
gives
from a play-in match that really wasn't his best performance.
right.
To
Yeah.
Going like perfect in like his last 2 games. Like pretty much, right?
And the way Winston, was his manager, and the way that they communicated, and it seemed like they really, studied together and made that happen. Like that to me gives Winston Manager of the Year a little bit of an edge, just because of Ace's
little run.
insane story.
Yeah,
and that is a very fair argument. But let me ask the question: is this the downfall of the Finstock Exchange? Brian, I'll start with you on this one. Do you see them falling apart for the rest of the year?
Singles is going to be a big determining factor. They don't have weak players going into this tournament. They still have Riley, Roca, and the Barbarian.
Yeah.
That is not... Yeah. There are no scrubs left or even playing for Finstock. So, to say they're out, I'm not on that train yet. To say that Riley, Roca, and Barbarian are somehow just going to all shit the bed in the first round, that's not going to happen. Maybe one of them might go down. I don't know about that. But to say that all three are going to go down and all three are going to go down and Finstock Exchange is done, I'm not going to say that in the slightest. So to think that, I don't know. I think what will really, for me, kind of peak, the one that's piquing my interest the most right now is if Riley beats Video Drew. That is the one that I'm curious about. Just out of pure, like, could that be an upset in the making right there? Because then that's going to start putting a little bit of question into probably is Riley worth keeping next year? Are we going into that idea? We know how Barbarian plays, literally like a barbarian. He comes through, destroys, and leaves.
There's a reason why his name is the Barbarian.
Yeah.
Are you saying this because you think Riley seemed so rusty?
And a little bit, and not to mention, I mean, he said he wasn't comfortable in the video online format. Well, unfortunately, the whole entire singles tournament is going to be like that. Yeah. So unless you get comfortable to it, you're going to struggle. And we know Drew is studying. She's not just doing it for fun. She's
not just doing it for streams, guys. She's
exactly
actually doing it for studying.
So, sorry, I saw Bedor's thing saying Riley beating Drew is an upset. Maybe.
I think I don't know if I think Riley would be considered the favorite, but I don't know if it would be
that's fair. So,
if you're a former champion, I think you're a favorite in that match.
Yeah, he's definitely the favorite in the match, but I don't think it would be an upset.
Yeah. But I just yes, they have a strong hill to climb. I mean, none of them have easy first rounds. Riley's got Video Drew, Barbarian's got Whitney, and Roka's got Adam Collins, and Adam Collins is kind of scary.
He's still a mystery, really, but he killed it in his play-in.
Yeah, so. if you're killing it in a play-in, plus you don't really have much to study on him.
Yeah.
So you don't really know what you're getting. So will I say that Finstock Exchange is out? No, I'm not ready to go to that level yet. I do see walking on a thin line, like walking on edge, where if people start going down, things are going to start crumbling a little bit more, and you might see some heat a little bit, but I don't think they're down and out yet.
Yeah.
It seems like we're all in agreement on that.
I agree.
Frank, do you have anything to add on that?
What's the initial question you asked again?
Is the mark of the downfall?
The beginning of the downfall of the Finstock Exchange.
Yes and no, but we'll definitely know.
Look who's here.
I don't know who that is. We'll definitely know who enters the team's tournament. Is it who's the boss?
I wanted to ask this because this was talked about on Gucciverse. Roxy had asked Dagnino the question of who he's entering in the tournament, and he has been not teasing, but saying that he might mix a team with two players that haven't played together yet this year.
I've never seen him as unconfident as he was in saying what
he was shook.
He was shook. And he said, he kept saying, I have until 5 p.m. tomorrow. And we were all like, what are you going to do?
I don't think in his wildest dreams did he think he was going to lose both those matches.
That's fair. But guess what, Dagnino? This is a really easy decision based on how Friday night went.
We're about to hear the truth. We're about to hear the truth.
If you're having problems figuring out,
should I go full screen?
No. If you're having problems figuring out who should be in the tournament after the impassioned speech from one Dan Merle and backed up by John Roca, if you're having this much of a problem figuring out who to put in the tournament, you, my friend, have real problems. And that actually that right there is more indicative of the end of the exchange than maybe anything else. the fact that he's, I don't know, fair. You don't want to say who's going into the tournament. It's not the right time to do it. Fine, I get it, but I don't think you have to make it so, mystery riddled. It's not that hard. Sorry, the match wasn't, who's the boss lost in the way that they did. Maybe if they played a really good match but still lost, I could see, I could see the argument a little bit easier, but I would still pick, Founding Fathers over Who's the Boss any day of the week right now. Yeah. So I don't know what Dagnino's pulling his classic Dagnino shtick, but if Founding Fathers is not in the team tournament, I think next year or the off season is going to be very, very interesting. And Dagnino, Lord have mercy on it, man. I tell you. That's what I can't. I don't even know. I don't know.
Does anybody though? Does anybody?
Yeah.
So we have had one more Streamlabs come through before we wrap up here, and this came from Win a Goldfish here. So thank you for the donation. Corruption team winning the title put a disadvantage to their faction points, not entering the tournament. It's all going to depend on the singles tournament. I will not say that just yet because there's a possibility that you could see a team like Adam Collins and Marisol McKee step in.
That was Jill.
And two rookies who could really... I
hope that would be a fun team. I want to see that.
That would be very interesting, and you don't know what to expect from them playing with each other because we don't really know strengths and weaknesses from them yet.
We know nothing really.
So I would not count. I would not count Corruption out of the team's tournament just yet.
No, definitely not.
Plus, you could always see the experiment. You never know. Jake, I know you like saying his name, so who's
Mark?
Okay, so I think that's going to wrap up everything for us tonight. We've definitely gone overtime, but it was definitely worth it.
Should we pick our Jericho and Kevin Smith?
I guess we're not. I mean, we're going to be doing reactions this week, but we can definitely throw them out there. Yeah, why not? Quickly go around the table for Kevin Smith and Chris Jericho. Brian, why don't you start?
No, start with him.
Brian, I'll let you start. I'll go to Frank last.
I was all in on Kevin Smith, but then I saw Roxy on Gucciverse, and she talked me into thinking Jericho is like gonna come out just swinging. So
she said the same thing about Josh Quevedo. I'm just sorry.
That is true. Very good.
Sorry, I mean,
but I think I'm still gonna go with Kevin Smith on that one.
Jill?
Yeah, I think if I had to put money on it, I'm going to put it on the guy who literally works in movies and directs and produces films. But
I'm very uncomfortable, Drew.
But I'm hearing all this stuff about Chris Jericho, that he knows his stuff. Like if I had to put money on it, I would pick Kevin, but I'm so excited for this match. I cannot wait to see what happens. I'm ready for one of the funnest matches we've seen. And I'm happy I have that day off so I can fully enjoy it.
That comment was good.
That comment was good.
Well, he addressed that comment on SEN, and he said, if anything, being high would help him.
Yeah, that's true. He did.
Also, because of listening to all the great stuff, go back and watch him on SEN. It was fantastic.
It was great. It was so good.
Everything he said about like not underestimating Jericho and like people thinking that he knows more than he actually does. I'm gonna go Jericho on this one.
Oh.
Just to be fun.
And because he's on the Rockstars, right?
Oh yeah, they need those points, man.
They do need those points. They need those points.
Frank, who you picking?
I have decided that
after much of deliberation.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with
Hi,
Kevin
Coy.
Smith. Hey, Coy. No, I'm gonna go with Kevin Smith. I think it's gonna be a close match for sure, but I feel like Kevin Smith will win. I think he will, but it's gonna be a great match. I think. I think also Jericho probably will surprise. I think they're both going to surprise people. So
Sorry.
Molly always picks the one and then ends up having to regret it.
And then there's someone in the chat going, Molly, no.
I'm going Kevin Smith as well.
As soon as
I'm
Doug
going with
Benson
Kevin.
gets to play, I'm going to be all about Doug Benson.
yeah, I even forgot he was picked up, and I was like, Doug Benson? Yeah, he's not playing this year.
Dude, he has a whole podcast about movies. He knows movies. Like,
I'm gonna pick Kevin Smith as well. I would love to see. I think it would, nothing against Jericho because I mean I don't know what his film knowledge is. I think from what I heard he's pretty great. But I think it would just be really cool to have Kevin Smith in the victory column in a Schmodown, which would just be great. I mean either of them honestly, but Kevin Smith.
There is a Kevin Smith slice, so having
exactly.
Smith
So to wrap up the show though, let's talk about the undercard quickly. Choose our picks for Guy Bateman, a big one clearly. And Molly, I'll start with you on this one. Who you picking, Guy Bateman?
Guy.
She don't want to pick anymore.
I don't want to pick anymore.
No, I'm going Guy on this one. Not just because he's on my faction. I think Bateman might be a little shaken right now, and I'm sure he'll bounce back from that. But we haven't seen Guy in a while, and he's seems to be spending a lot of time in that closet of his. But
Gross.
Gross.
I have faith. Team Guy.
Frank?
I want Andrew Guy to win because I just want to see Dan Merle, Andrew Guy, but I'm gonna take Ben Bateman. I'm gonna take Ben Bateman.
Jill?
Had you asked me on Thursday night, I would have said 100% Ben Bateman, but after that performance, I can't argue against Andrew Guy now. Like I'm still probably gonna put my money on Bateman, but it's gonna be an interesting one, I think.
Brian?
I think the Schmominati is going to will it that Guy wins.
Agreed. Schmominati Guy is definitely winning this match.
And I think I'm even more convinced now that Bedore was the one that picked Guy, and she is absolutely the leader of the Schmominati. But yeah,
I do need to pick Guy. He's on my shelf, huh? That is
yeah, you stole his award, so I mean he might. Yeah, but yeah, I think that one's going to be a good one. By the way, since Koi's in here, I cannot wait to see him have to talk and coach Kevin Smith.
This
is a great comment, guys. This is a great comment. I'm sorry. This is a brilliant comment.
Oh.
I wonder how he would have done it. But yes, I am so excited to see Koi manage Kevin Smith.
I can't wait to see the promos. I can't wait to see the promos. The promos are going to be great. So okay. So let's go ahead and get out of here since we ran way over time. But before we do, let's go ahead and go around the table and let everyone know where they can find us online. And with our guest, Frank, I will start with you.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at FrankieJ29. And if you want to check out Schmodown Rundown, you can do that.
Do it. It's great.
Check out the rundown.
Check
out the rundown.
We love the
Molly?
rundown in this household.
I am on Twitter at Molly Damon, and me and Alex are talking Star Wars every day on Star Wars Explained on YouTube.
And you have a Twitch channel now.
Oh yeah, I have a Twitch channel. I've only streamed one time, but I plan to stream more for sure.
We want more Animal Crossing streams.
Molly Damon on Twitch, and Alex has a Twitch channel too. Alex Damon Live, I think. Yeah.
Jill.
Smash that like button.
Smash that like button. I am on Instagram and Twitter, Jilly Marie, 2 Y's, 2 E's. 90% of the time, I am talking and stirring up shit in the Schmodown.
Well, if that can answer your question, Koi, then I don't know.
Yeah. Brian.
Yeah. So I'm at Biavolcino or Biavals. I don't even know at this point. I'm Biavolcino on Twitter.
Sean's on the PJ Campbell network, so I'm gonna hop on that after.
Yeah. So Nerd Chronic. I cannot wait for this promo. Oh man.
I'm gonna say to Nerd Chronic, everyone else said to PJ, "Don't screw this up, Eric."
I don't think it's possible.
No, not at all.
Just
Yeah, so you can follow us on Twitter at SchmodownPOV, where we're interacting with everyone and revealing our schedule. You can also send any questions you have for any shows on our Streamlabs, which is in the description below. You can find that. You can find me at Qui-Gon Jake on Twitter and Instagram. You can also find Brian and I on another podcast called Apocalypse Movies, Tuesdays and Fridays, talking everything movies. So check that out. And then, so Frank, thank you so much for joining us on this stream tonight, man. That was fun.
Give Video Drew her little promo too. You did stick with us for a while.
Which one? Which one?
Right
Oh,
here.
she's-
There's so many. Oh, there you go.
Go check out Video Drew at 9.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Boo-boo-boo.
Cool.
Nice.
For a certain point of view, this is our show for tonight. So thank you so much for joining us in the comments, watching live, interacting, Streamlab questions. Thank you so much. And check out all our reactions this week. And then we will see you guys then. So thank you very much.